Envoy!
Keep moving.
Do we even know what we're doing here?
Envoy, didn't think I'd be seeing you again. From one battlefield to another, eh? Dream thralls and now this. Dude means a loose cannon, and the steel garrote don't answer to anyone but her. This place won't be safe for adherents for decades, even if she wins. Gods help us all.
Envoy? Is it really you? Mihala told us you went into some place called the Garden to seek a god?
When you didn't return, we took you for dead.
What did you see there? The god you felt in Nakutadek?
It's too preposterous to believe. How could a plague be ended by speaking with a god?
Everyone, please, please. We could get to the bottom of this if you would only let them speak.
It's been weeks, Envoy. What happened?
Sabadal was responsible for the Dream Scourge. Their rage, their confusion, their fear.
So you say. But Shatterscarp is still littered with dream thralls, and Temerty is still pacing her room, muttering in the dark.
There won't be any new infections. We've put a stop to that for good. Unfortunately, there's little we can do for those already in the grip of the Dream Scourge. We can give them comfort, nothing more. This will be a process. The Dream Scourge was never going to simply go away overnight.
I suppose it stands to reason. I found that a quick fix is often anything but. What of this god, then? What does it mean that you freed them? Ludwine had intimated that this land grew a new god. But how can that be?
Giata and I have some theories about the nature of the Adra in the Living Lands.
I'd say we're past the point of theorizing.
If the Adra here is a closed system, like a terrarium for our souls, then a gradual accumulation of essence could coalesce into a being in the beyond.
Much like the formation of gemstones. All it takes is time and the right application of pressure.
Wodka no doubt saw Sapadal as a threat to her authority. So, she killed the Godless and imprisoned their god.
I assume it is this god we have to thank for the roots tearing apart Paradise? They erupted from the earth the moment those bastards stood up their first siege tower.
Nakutadek was riven with those things, not to mention what they did to the land.
Similar roots had infected the structures at Naku Kubel. If they and the Dream Scourge were really the work of a god, and the gods thought it best to imprison this god, how could you let such a creature go free?
Altruism is fertile ground for folly, I've found.
It was Adir's arrival that disturbed Sapadal. We'll have nothing to fear from this god once we expel you from our lands.
Having Sapadal at our beck and call might be to our advantage. I'd like to see Rawatai try to stand toe-to-toe against a god.
Keeping watch over Sapodal was a sacred task Nandru gave us when he left. For that reason alone, my wardens owe them their allegiance.
Well, whatever happens, I suppose we can't put the godling back in the bottle now. But come, we have more pressing matters to attend to. The Steel Garrote have attacked Paradise. Inquisitor Ludwine has already joined the battle. She must have traveled like the wind to get here so fast.
You did. I kicked her corpse when you weren't looking. Just to be sure.
Well, she's seen better days, but you wouldn't know it judging by how she fights.
Ludwine's run through the militia like a whirlwind.
All right, let's keep the similes to ourselves.
A bit like you're being haunted, isn't it? Or cursed. But that's your affair. So long as her passion for Wodica lives, so too will her spirit.
Then we destroy her faith, and the rest of her will follow. I have a theory about this. Let's talk at camp if you want to hear it. But I think we can kill her.
Oh, good. That'll be easy.
It is not, I think, impossible. Well, you might not believe me, but I didn't want any of this to happen. It was Ludwine who called for the attack.
I didn't hear an answer, Ambassador.
She and her Steel Garrote laid siege to the city, shortly after you beat her to the garden. The lawful settlement of a new Adirian colony, supposedly. Or the establishment of a Wodican state. She could win with a godlike in her ranks. Your presence would serve as a powerful endorsement. I don't think peace is her concern. Remember, she has an obligation to Wodica, a solemn oath. And neither the Steel Garrote nor the queen that was look kindly upon oathbreakers.
We've had no news from inside for several days. From what we can observe, southern Paradise is in pieces, and the remaining militia batters at the gates to no avail.
Is there nothing our people can do?
Given the state of our supply route after the Dream Scourge, and the Steel Garrote's destruction, we expect the people trapped inside will run short of fresh food and clean water in a matter of days.
Thirdborn still suffers from the Dream Scourge. Though you may have ended the plague, Envoy, many in Shatterscarp still are not themselves. I could bring no more than a handful when we heard.
Likewise, my wardens are still reeling from effects of the eruption. The keep was saved, but there is much to repair, particularly if we are to endure a siege. Most of my men remain at the keep. I can't risk them against the Steel Garrote for the sake of Paradise, not when we are so few.
Because a victory here would discourage resistance elsewhere. The better question is, why didn't you stop her?
Excuse me? She's a 7-foot-tall skeleton powered by her devotion to the goddess of retribution. This isn't my fault.
Sure. Just blame the dead woman. Very mature.
Who else should I blame exactly? Our envoy, perhaps? For not stopping Ludwine and the Tusks?
You could start with blaming your own incompetence. Why are you treating him with kid gloves when Paradis cries out for help?
Enough. I've heard your concerns. We cannot change it now.
The Inquisitor was so convinced the Living Lands would unite against Adia that she's nearly made it true. One people, one law, one true god. That's Ludwine's vision for the Living Lands.
Ludwine agrees. Our success would model the order and dignity of the Steel Garrote, for whatever that's worth.
You think I'll ignore what I've seen with my own eyes? The Empire has brought us nothing but chaos and suffering.
Careful, Envoy. Adir may still have a part to play, but don't let loyalty blind you.
What passes between Ludwine and her men, or between Ludwine and the Emperor, for that matter, is not my affair. But if I had to guess, this was the alternative.
Your Empire is doing what it does best. Stamping out dissent until surrender is the only option.
Your republics are hardly any different. Their intentions in the Deadfire were certainly not pure.
As you say, we left the republics for a reason.
The Inquisitor answers only to Wodica. In attacking Paradis, she has dragged us all far beyond the bounds of the Emperor's desires.
Oh, I can't wait to see how you weasel out of this one.
I know it will. We are leading by example, returning order and dignity to Paradis in the wake of the Clavager's death. We will do the same to the frontier, given the chance.
Where was order and dignity when the Steel Garrote attacked my home?
My administration had nothing to do with that, as I know you know. Adiran rule and rule by the Steel Garrote would be markedly different beasts.
Spoken like a fucking diplomat. Splitting hairs when it all comes from the same head.
Order and dignity. That's what you think we're missing? Bastards! All of you!
You will take it all, whether the chance is given to you or not.
I've answered your questions. Now I would like you, all of you, to answer mine. Ludwine has sent a message to the Emperor informing him of her attack. He will send advisors and reinforcements swiftly in response. What will his representatives find when they arrive? A new colony? A budding grave room? Before you face Ludwine, you should know what you're fighting for. All of you must decide, together. But whatever you decide, understand, the days of the frontier are done. Adir will come. Indeed, we are already here. The Living Lands would retain its own laws under a grave appointed by the Emperor. The grave would be expected to promote and develop the Living Lands to our mutual benefit. They would divide the island into administrative districts and see them governed by mayors appointed from the local communities. The island would provide tribute in the form of resources and taxes, and in times of war, soldiers. The Empire, I should note, is nearly always at war. In return, the Living Lands would enter Adir's sphere of influence, and should outside nations attempt to invade, we would come to the Grave Room's aid.
Son, pernicious, cut the rot. yet the disease remains. Safety among spiders. A web gleaming with dew. They weave, they wait.
Naturally, that would be the Emperor's decision. But I suspect he would choose you. Only the strong survive the frontier. I used to believe that was Ludwig. But you were born to rule here. Quite literally. You're the obvious choice. There is no Adirin who knows this place better than you.
Tribute, he says. Taxes. Soldiers. The Empire has tried it all before. Look to the Eastern Reach if you don't believe me. They want to bleed us dry. To fill their coffers and fight their wars. To break us like wild animals. But I will not bend.
It's still a gamble, but I think it's the safest bet. We get the benefits of Imperial trade and protection without losing all of what makes this place special. There's no way of knowing what it would mean in another generation or two. But right now, it gives us the security and stability to recover.
We were fine before Adir showed up, and we'll be fine when they're gone. Trust the lands and her people, Envoy.
If we give Adir power over us, we can't be surprised if they decide to flex it later.
We give up our fighters and the wealth of our lands, and get promises in return. But we have wealth enough to give some away, if it means my wardens may return to their vigil in peace.
A grave room wouldn't be my first choice, but we're going to need a hand with all the dream thralls left in Shatterscarp. So if the Emperor's willing to pitch in, then I guess so am I.
With the Dream Scourge ended, my people can soon return to Fior. If a renewed animancy could easily feed the island, I suppose we could send Adir what's left. But when lean times come, who will we feed first? Ourselves or the Empire?
Of course. The Living Lands would become an extension of the Adiran Empire in leadership and law. Soldiers bearing the flag of Adir would be garrisoned in every town. They would be paid in Adiran shelling and speak only the Adiran language. Their roads would be smooth Adiran roads. Their medicine would be hygienic Adiran medicine. And their weapons would be efficient Adiran weapons. Our customs would become their customs. Our strengths would become their strengths. Our emperor would become their emperor. Turned toward a common purpose. No one, not Rawatai, not the Valian republics, not even a rogue god, would dare tack the Living Lands. This island would be safe for the first time in its history, and safe it would remain.
The Adder's promise. Flip our feathers as we find our wings. The deed binds as the wire binds. To drown us. Why were we set free?
He would suppress our culture before it's had a chance to grow. Everything my people cultivated would be reduced to a footnote. If you have any love for this land, do not allow him to overwrite our history.
Rawatai built its empire from colonies like this. Many have become centers of culture and prosperity, backed by the protection of a strong navy. Of course, it can take decades to get there. And this road isn't an easy one. But Adir won't be the only empire eyeing this place. A formal agreement now could protect us from something worse later.
It shall be peaceful in that all dissenters will be silenced. So there's that.
The Living Lands is a lot of things, but it will never be Adir, no matter how hard Adir wants it to be. Adir should turn back now and save everyone a bunch of blessed trouble.
The traditions of solace are what give my wardens their strength. Without them, we would buckle under the weight of the tusks. I would sooner walk my people into the acid sea than trust an Ediran to hold me up.
The only threat I see on the horizon comes from Adir itself. You want me to thank this thief for protecting me from my purse? They can't offer us anything we don't already have.
Under Adiran rule, your countrymen would strip my people of everything that makes them unique, all in the name of spiritual hygiene. I cannot betray them like that.
Of course.
Excellent question.
You have seen more of this land, and met more of its people than any of us. Your opinion is informed. You were empowered by the Emperor himself to investigate an impossible problem. And against the odds, you solved it. You are the close personal friend of a rogue god. And in our dealings together, I found you to be a person of substance and conviction. But mostly, it's because you're Adiran, so I trust you. And these fine people here are going to do whatever they like if they don't agree with you anyway. Well, don't leave me in suspense. A fine compromise.
So long as my wardens are left in peace, we will endure a grave rum.
Thirdborn will support a grave room, unless the Empire inspires us to change our minds.
A grave room, then, if we must. And, God's willing, Fjord will feed the world.
I do not trust your empire to show restraint in its control of the living lands. Gods help us.
We can worry about the future when it comes. This at least gives us the backing to survive and rebuild.
Right. Might as well go ahead and start designing those rebel flags sooner rather than later.
Good. We'll have perhaps a whole week of peace before the yoke starts chafing.
I will do my level best to convince the Emperor to accept a grave room. That leaves the matter of Ludwine and the Steel Garrote. She will never surrender, Envoy. You must kill her, or we will lose Paradise, and eventually the island.
Whatever happens to the living lands, at least I can kill Ludwine. I'll take that over nothing.
She better say her goodbyes while she can.
I'm proud to fight at your side, Envoy. One last time.
Let's get to work then. We've got a walking corpse to bury.
The Paradise militia will be at your back. Give her no quarter. The future waits for you.
Thank you for deserving it. Now, go and teach the Steel Garrote a lesson they will never forget.
Show them that the living lands will not be broken across Vodka's knee.
We will send reinforcements to help you reclaim the Eastern Gate. From there, work your way to the main plaza. May all the gods of Eora and the living lands protect you.
Let's take back the city. Whatever happens tomorrow, the Steel Garrote can only make it worse.
Time to stop the Steel Garrote. Lead the way, Envoy.
You should get some sleep. Big day coming up. Well, I'm just fine. More or less. I've been in a lot of dangerous situations, but it's always been a fight to survive. It's just a fight. Putting my life on the line for someone else's cause. It's the opposite of survival. It's foolishness. You know, I've never seen a bear go to war. They fight for survival, not for causes. We're about to go out there and risk our lives for, what? A concept of how things ought to be? We might die, all to determine who sleeps in the nicest house in Paradise until the island decides it's time for a change. It's fine, really. But it's some blessed day Sokka when you think about it. Nope. Not if I have anything to say about it. I'll be all right, Envoy. You go get some blessed day rest.
Can't sleep? Neither can I. We're going into battle for the soul of the living lands, rallying under the banners of the Paradise militia. Your Emperor will not be pleased. Political influence is dangerous. If you aren't careful, it can turn against you. When a godlike fights in battle, people take note of which side. The Adirans will doubt your loyalty. The locals will doubt your commitment. You may even doubt yourself. This is the first time you were told to pick a side. And I fear it won't be the last. All we ask in return is that you do the same for us. From what I understand, your ambassador is very persuasive, very powerful, and very accustomed to getting his way. For a politician like him, losing a battle is not a defeat. It's an opportunity. When he promises you the world, don't listen. He'll fill your head with lies if you let him. I'm glad we understand each other. It's good to see you fighting for the misfits and rabble-rousers. Time for you to get some rest. We have a big day ahead of us. In truth, I'm not as worried as I used to be. I've been thinking about the Inquisitor. Formulating a theory, you might say. A Death Guard clings to their existence by force of will. Stubbornness, unfinished business, that sort of thing. Ludwig is held together by faith, and that may be her undoing. If only it were that simple. Faith is the foundation of her reality. Faith in the righteousness of the gods. But according to her faith, Sapadal should not exist. A new god independent of hers? Blasphemy. By that logic, you shouldn't exist either. And yet here you are. By staying alive, of course. You are the godlike of a heretical god, a contradiction to her reality. Can you imagine how much she needs you to die? Her entire worldview depends on it. Who knows? Maybe that uncertainty is enough to make her mortal again. Or maybe not. I'm just theorizing as I go. Whatever happens, I want to see it for myself. For the research. When I agreed to travel with you, I didn't think I'd find myself at the center of a political upheaval. And now the Living Lands is dependent on the Empire's generosity. Generosity which can be given and taken away. We're free to make our own laws until our Adiran masters revoke them. We're free to thrive until our taxes finance your next war, with our people padding the front lines. We're free until we're not. At the end of the day, I don't trust the Empire to show restraint with the living lands. They've done nothing to earn it. I know you do. Is it really that obvious? No matter who wins or loses, the living lands won't be the same. In my heart, I know that's a good thing. Life is impossible without change, and change can be frightening. I just want to put this behind us. I want it to be over. Pleasant dreams.
The ogre has been an absolute menace to the Steel Garrote. I mean, good. If anyone deserves to be menaced, it's them. But keep your voice down, will you? I don't want him to realize I'm here and introduce me to his club. Oh, it's you again. Do you follow trouble around, or is it vice versa? What are you doing here? Do you want something? I'm not going to be here long enough to need those tips. No offense to Paradise, but I think I'm ready to go home now. It's not like I was thrilled about coming out here in the first place. Folks seem to think that as a Tirannui, it was my duty to fight. I disagreed, but I was overruled. Well, seems like you're busy, and I've really got to get back to hiding, so... Good luck, Envoy. If you need me, please don't.
Oh, no, you don't.
Good shooting, Kai.
Yeah. It's all right. You're a bit...
Don't just stand there. Ugh, I've got this.
This shall be a bloody day.
We've got company.
Here we go.
Envoy, you finally arrived.
They're coming.
Take your best shot. Coming for you.
East ahead.
good fighter.
Foolishness.
I've done it better.
I heard something.
Quiet as the devil.
I got it.
Envoy, behind you!
Go ahead. I'll hang back and watch the gate.
That'll teach you!
Envoy, what are you doing here?
Stop right there!
I thought you left town weeks ago. About time. You're the only one Ludwig will listen to. I saw a few on my way here. I imagine they've been waiting for this to happen for a long time. Listen, one of the Garot's units is scouting up ahead, maybe 5 strong. I wouldn't want to fight them if I were you. Take this key. It'll unlock the gate to the canals. You can thank the captain who forgot it. Suit yourself. I wish someone had stood up to the Steel Garot a long time ago. But, well, you're here now. That's what matters. Good luck.
I should go now, while the fighting's died down.
Can you not hear the screaming outside?
She's right. We can't go now. Then when? Should we wait till the Garot set this bar alight?
They have thaumaturges out there. You saw them.
And soon there'll be thaumaturges in here.
What if you stayed then? Just until we've cleared a path.
They will run you through before you get 10 steps out the door.
We should be helping
I knew
Cad.
it.
We're
As soon as I
soldiers,
saw that
aren't we?
stash at Fort Northreach,
We are
I knew.
helping. We're helping her.
Envoy! I doubted I'd ever see you again. I imagine I could guess what brings you back to Paradise. I must thank you once again for bringing me the Luminous Adra so long ago. Oh, it was wonderful. It was a complete failure, of course. But from that failure, I learned much. With some creative exploration, I was able to refine the Adra into a poultice that heals wounds at a fantastic rate. Shorthand for trying literally every reagent, mixture, or process I can think of to produce any result at all. Forgive me, I may have contributed to one too many research journals in my time. One must always put one's best foot forward. I know you have much to do in town, so I'll let you go. Thank you again for everything.
Go on, get out there and win this.
Envoy, am I ever glad to see you?
You're mine now!
Protect the envoy.
Left leg!
Loose end!
Is someone found you? Ty, represent.
This is mine! Next one's mine!
That was a close one.
What exactly do you think you're doing?
Liviana, don't you ever take a break?
You nearly died in my clinic. Correction, you did die. And now look at you.
fighting the Steel Garrote. What have you got to say for yourself? That's the worst excuse I've ever heard, and believe me, I've heard it all. Kai, is this your doing?
Come on. I couldn't have kept him out of the action if I wanted to.
I knew you were a bad influence. We're patching up folks as best we can, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. War is a damn bloody mess. Yeah, stop the fighting. I can't say I approve of you leaping into the fray, but it's always nice catching up with a former patient. Wait a second. Jada? Jada Castell? What are you doing in the middle of this?
Surviving. It's good to see you, Liviana. Unfortunately, we're on a tight schedule. Do you need anything? Money? Supplies?
Once this is over, I could always use another pair of hands at the clinic. The invitation's still open.
After what we've been through, I need to focus on myself for a while. But I'll stop by and visit now and then. Can you manage without me?
Are you kidding? I'm happy for you. Besides, I've got Chico on bandage duty. I just wanted you to know there's a place here whenever you want it. Gods be with you, Envoy. For my sake, try not to die a second time.
Come on.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
What was that?
Let's finish this.
Is that all you got? Good one!
You've got better aim than a sharpshooter, Giada.
I'll teach you!
Paradisans know these streets. We're not giving them up without a fight.
Boudica demands your submission. Stand against her and fall!
That's Ludwig ahead. Lead on. I'm with you to the end.
There you are! Envoy. Come.
She's not lost yet. We would still welcome her graft onto our tree.
Speak to me! You will go no further! You're testing my patience, Envoy!
So, you survived the garden. Did you come all this way just to try your luck again? To kill me more efficiently than last time? You'll get your chance.
Then what are you waiting for?
Look around, Envoy. Heelguard should have listened. He tried to bring order through compromise. He failed. Order is meant to be imposed by a stern, guiding hand.
Her order wields sharp steel. She must set down her blade.
Heelguard is a fool if he thinks half measures will save the island. When this is over, I'll instruct him, personally. As for you, Sapadal's chains are broken, which means your soul is in their grasp. I don't know how deeply you've been compromised, Envoy. And if I don't know, then I cannot suffer you to live. Do not patronize me. I have every right to put down a threat to the Empire. Steel yourself, Envoy. Make this a fight to remember, even in death.
We would not welcome her death. There is still ample shade for her beneath our tree.
My fate keeps me alive. Let's see if yours can do the same. Farewell, Envoy.
There's no coming back this time. Prepare yourself for the next world.
Let's finish this. Together.
Once I'm done killing you, you're gone. God of flame!
Take your best shot!
We are every seed in the soil. We will always grow.
This is what we prepared for. No quarter.
Luthen!
Wodika! Queen among queens! Send me your aid! Ethic wasn't wrong!
I say!
Again, Boudica! Help me! One last time! Ethic wasn't wrong!
Luthen! Ease ahead.
Ethic wasn't wrong! Quick as a fox! Burn it!
I say!
Come on! Come on! Ethic wasn't wrong! Go on!
Coming from your right!
Masan Sude.
Boudica! Where are you? No! Don't abandon me now!
Desperate boy. This is it!
I say!
Wherever Ludwine is now, she must be seething.
Of course, we'd be happy to kill her again, if needed.
She's done. But we're not. Whatever's next, we'll face it. Together. Gods, you're all gonna make me sick. But carry on.
Unraveled at last. We no longer feel her wire against our flesh. We are free always. We are free forever.
Silence falls over Paradis, as though the city is holding its breath. Then you hear it, the ringing of a distant bell, the waving of banners, and cheers of victory. After a short and bloody conflict, the dust has finally begun to settle. You feel Sappadal close to your thoughts, stirring with interest. The god of the living lands is observing this moment, unfettered by confusion or fear. For the first time in centuries, they understand. The Paradis militia rallies to you, the outsider who defended them in their hour of need. Whatever happens next, you have won their confidence. You take a moment to reflect on the calm. Not so long ago, you arrived at these shores on a simple errand, which turned out to be anything but simple. The Dream Scourge is over, and the island has been cleansed of plague. A time of healing and mourning follows. People look to you for answers about the source of the affliction. You tell them the truth, how the plague came from a power beyond mortal understanding, and how it is finally at peace. With your guidance, the Living Lands becomes a vassal of the Adiran Empire. In exchange for their taxes and soldiers, the free settlements are protected from future attacks. The fight for survival is over. The rebels of Paradis are not so fortunate. Over the years, more of their hidden sanctuaries are rooted out by the Emperor's soldiers, until they have nowhere left to run. They flee, or perish. The refugees of Emerald Stair resettle in Thirdborn, bringing their skills and research to aid the local community. What starts as an uneasy partnership blossoms into a bond of trust. Through shared adversity, they find common ground. In time, the people of Emerald Stair return to their city of Fior Messiverno. Animancy still has a place in the Living Lands, but the Empire's disapproval gets in the way of progress. Their work is slow, but unstoppable. After so much chaos, the people of Shatterscarp find a moment to breathe. As a gesture of goodwill to its grave room, Adir sends a regiment to purge the remaining dream thralls still haunting the wilderness. But with the sound of Adiran cannons in the air, many Thirdborners wonder what their lives will look like when there is no longer a common enemy. After the Living Lands is declared a vassal of Adir, Solace Keep reluctantly opens the doors of its fortress, though not before numerous missives are sent to Mihala demanding the grave room be honored. Her reluctance costs the dwarves. The Pargrunen are never favored in trade negotiations, and are the last to be supplied by Adiran caravans. But the Wardens have rounder bellies than anyone can remember. When Kai leaves the Living Lands, he is no longer running. For the first time in many years, he can face the future. He returns to Rauatai, committed to peace for his people, those he left in Rauatai, as well as those he found in the Living Lands. He joins the Ranganui's council, counterbalancing powerful voices of isolationism and hawkishness. It is a long and difficult battle, and he is happy to fight it. With many of his anxieties and lifelong fears addressed, Marius now feels very differently than he did when he first met the envoy. Still far more comfortable in the wilds than among people, he nonetheless finds that his worries about the unknown were merely self-protection against the traumas of his childhood. Armed with this knowledge, he finds himself more capable of living in civilization, and far less fearful of his home in Galawain's tusks. While he never regains his former place as a Warden of Solace, he spends his time traveling between Solace and Thirdborn, acting as a stubborn ambassador between the two. Giada turns away from animancy, charting a new course in life. The old rules don't apply to her. She has no responsibilities other than herself. Writing, music, sailing, sewing, love, She tries everything, masters nothing, and finds the inner peace that eluded her as an animancer. She still carries the phantasmal focus, but it doesn't feel as heavy as before. In a past life, Yatsley was given a task: protect the history and knowledge of the godless. Now, many lifetimes later, she continues upholding that oath. She moves into the library in the garden, spending her days poring over the clay tablets there. But not even the letters from, and rare visit to, her lover help ease the loneliness that fills her days. Freed from torment for the first time in centuries, Sopadal turns their prodigious curiosity to the people that shaped them. They observe the ways their people live, and they think deeply about what they see. Though they flinch away from moments of violence, and they grieve souls returned to them too soon, the rage that once shook cities to rubble no longer rules them. Instead, they come to you with questions. They want to understand. After a time, they begin, tentatively, to garden. Where they can, they improve the lives of Kith, and the suffering that troubled them is reduced, if never fully eradicated. Their grief compels them to love, and they love unreservedly, with the power of a god. Sopadal pours a fragment of their power into the statue they claimed from the temple of Aethys. Newly embodied, they roam the living lands and learn to experience the world as Kith do. Their first attempts at locomotion are clumsy, and a stand of innocent trees is violently returned to the wheel. But as their confidence grows, so does their grace. Soon, they are bounding across the plains of eastern Dawnshore, leaping the river gorge in Emerald Stair, scaling the shark's teeth of Shatterscarp, and fearlessly wading into the Tusk's acid sea. When they break, they come to you to put them back together. And in time, they learn to fix themselves. They wander far afield. You see less of them, but they are never far from your thoughts. And on the rare occasion they return, they always bring you something beautiful and strange. The sounds of celebration pull you out of reverie. Many are waiting to greet you with open arms. You take a moment to catch your breath and savor it, because everything is about to change.